of the evening, and that is our intrepid podcasters. So let us invite our friends Diana and Erin to join us. Let me see if where we are on our list. Diana, we'll send an invite to you. Audience, we're getting a lot of love. We're getting a lot of great reactions from everybody out there who's still joining us tonight. If you have any thoughts, anything you want to tell us, any questions you want to ask, anything you want to share, by all means, send it across. Hello, Diana.
Hi.
How are
you? Can
you?
you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. I'm going to add Erin while we are getting started. Okay, and Diana, if I recall correctly, hello, Erin. Hi there.
Hi.
All right, so you two, you have I don't know how I even came across your podcast. You have a presence on Instagram that is I don't want to say the name. Well, we're in the late night. Let's say F Shakespeare is the title
Yeah.
of your podcast and your social media presence. And the two of you, you're both, I think you're in upstate New York, right?
Yes.
Hey, not upstate. No.
Well, it's upstate to you.
We're right by the Tappan Zee Bridge.
Upstate to me, upstate on.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh, so you're not too far away. Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys, you ladies.
Bridge.
Okay, all right. So you're not too far away. Hop, skip, and a jump. And you two have known each other for a while. How did you two get started on this venture, this F Shakespeare podcast? How did it all come about?
Well, I had a theater company that was mostly for children for 21 years called the Children's Shakespeare Theater. And Erin's kids were some of my students and some of my actors. And so her kids actually brought the two of us together, which was really
Okay, and the kids suggested to you the F Shakespeare podcast.
Nope.
We've listened to the kids that we work with talk for years about how Shakespeare gets taught in middle school and high school. And oftentimes how well-meaning teachers who don't really Shakespeare themselves, but have to be part of the curriculum, don't do the Bard any justice. And we were talking about how we share our love of Shakespearean text in particular with high school students to enjoy it. So we decided to make jokes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and Diana, what you had the idea together that okay, we want to bring Shakespeare out in a way that engages people in a little bit more of a fleshed out way than you can do in the classroom, or something that you're a little bit more free in how you talk about it, as opposed to, I guess, the strictures of how you approach it in the classroom setting. At what point did you come up with the name F Shakespeare? How did that all come about?
Well, we did bandy around some other names, and we kind of, farmed them out to friends and stuff and kids. And we ended up deciding that, this is going to get the most bang for the buck because maybe, so to speak, maybe high schoolers who are like completely fed up might Google such a thing, perhaps. Who knows? But we're really trying to get their attention. And, they might perceive it at first glance as like, oh, Shakespeare's awful. And what we hope to do is lure them in and make them realize that Shakespeare is actually really a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our aim.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Go ahead, Erin.
we decided to start with the plays that are most often assigned to kids middle school and high school, and start by picking apart the language, right? So what are all of the words for body parts? What are all of the words for sex? What are all of the words, for and Romeo and Juliet, which is the first play we chose to do, is, full of sex.
Yeah, it's pretty filthy, actually.
It's really filthy.
Yeah,
Do you know that book?
that's something that typically. Go ahead.
Rodney, do you know that book, Filthy Shakespeare? Have you ever seen it?
I know. I I don't know that one specifically, but I have maybe two or three in my collection that are about the different. I think I have one that's called Shakespeare's Body, and
Yeah,
one about like dirty Shakespeare. I have different variations on that theme.
yeah,
Then, of course, there's the oh, there's all kind of text. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. One of the first Shakespeare texts that students get introduced to, and usually in middle school or early high school, is Romeo and Juliet. And at first blush, it's just like like the star-crossed lovers, and it's this kind of very idealistic thing. But once you scratch the surface a little bit, absolutely, it's filthy. It's just it's full of bawdy humor and just stuff for the groundlings. So you dig into some of that, and you pull back the layers of the onion a little bit, and you reveal to the children what they've been missing in the in the classroom all this time.
yeah. Because there's too much, yawning and groaning about, oh, we have to study Shakespeare. Why do we have to study Shakespeare? Why is it relevant anymore? But that's absolutely not the case. Like we're trying to bring across the message that it's so much about the same things that we all talk about now, today, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's very current. It's one of the things that makes Shakespeare so timeless is that it
Yeah.
taps in so well to all the things that are, whether it's 1598 or whether it's 2022, 21. It's all relevant. It's all still very all hot topics. So you two both have quite a history with teaching Shakespeare. And one of in the bios that you sent over to me, I think Diana, I think this was you. There was something that caught my eye that you at some point in your career were teaching Shakespeare to rhesus monkeys in a lab in Calcutta.
Well,
How
I
in the
put that
world did that happen?
no, sometimes, teaching rooms full of small children feels like that. That's why I sort of put that in there. No, we put
Okay,
some very
all right.
goofy bios in our, in our website also, because our website is just very, not, it borders on fantasy because we wanted it to be very irreverent and very silly. So that came directly from the website.
Okay,
But no, I've taught,
okay.
all ages of kids and all ages of adults, and sometimes the 80-year-olds are the most contentious and difficult to teach. But I had such a great time teaching kids, and I
So
did that for
here's a
21
question.
years.
Here, what
Yeah.
grades did you typically teach, or are you teaching now?
Not teaching now. I actually passed on the artistic directorship to another wonderful woman who's carrying on that company for me. So this was
Hmm.
my way to stay connected to Shakespeare in a different way. Um, and
Okay.
unlike your other interviewees, we don't have to deal with any coronavirus protocol.
Right.
It's
Right. It does. But
just
the
us.
Right.
kids in the company could be a six or even a younger sibling could be younger than that. But the thing that was so great about and is still so great about children's here is that the kids are like they're game, and there's none of that like I don't get it. You talk about what the text means like you would talk about what the text means with any show, and the kids just accept it. They're good with it, and um, I think every
Are
kid.
you
Sorry.
is your teaching? Were you teaching mostly middle school, high school? What grades were you teaching?
We started at 7 years old and went up all the way up through high school. And there were two different troops.
Oh, so
So
it's
the
quite a
kids,
range.
yeah.
Hmm.
So the kids from 7 to 14 were in a younger group. And then they graduated into a high school group so that the high school kids weren't acting with the very youngest ones. That was too much of an age spread. But yeah, so we had, and in its huge heyday, we had 80 kids in the company. Um, and we did, in 21 years, we did 96 productions, and I directed 66 of them. Erin
Wow.
directed a handful, like 4 or 5. Erin came to the company later at my insistence. I forced her to come and direct with me. Yeah.
Now, Erin, the same way that I picked out something about Diana's bio, which was more in jest than anything else, something from your bio that piqued my interest was that you do voiceovers and you record book readings, anywhere from children's books to triple X rated books. But that's quite a gamut to to run between the one and the other.
Well, like any other actor, you take the work you get cast in.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Absolutely. Well,
But she just got some really big name books. You got a Simon and Schuster production publication, and she's doing some really big work now. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm very
that's
proud of her.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
But
So
I do a
we
lot of,
we were talking.
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, yes, I've done a lot of X-rated material.
Is it difficult to do that? Do you have to kind of take a shot of liquid courage before you, you do one of those, or you just say, "All right, another day of work. Let's get to it."
It's acting.
It's acting. It's acting. All right, absolutely. But whatever puts food on the table, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're teaching your students range, or whether from the Children's Theater Company or your educating days, your students range anywhere from the 7 years old until the end of high school. In that middle age, not middle age, but that middle period, that middle school, like 7th, 8th, 9th grade, when they start to hit that their early adolescence, is it difficult to engage with some of the body of Shakespeare, with the fact that the kids are all, it's so on the nose for them of what they're experiencing as they change, from children to young adults?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that they are very interested in talking about all of that stuff, and of course, they can't do it with teachers, and they can't do it with parents, right? As much. So they do it in the context of the play, and they're able to learn things that way. In fact, I had a couple of funny times that are memorable in our history where we would sit on circle and, we'd meet before and at the end of rehearsals. And this one time there was a very little one sitting next to me, right directly next to me. And we are having a conversation, and I can't even remember which play we were in, but she tugs on my sleeve in the middle of a conversation and she just goes, "What's a whore?" And the whole circle. The whole circle busted up laughing. All the kids, they were like, "What is she going to say?" And I just said, "It's a woman who gets paid for sex. Go home and ask mom." Fortunately, her mother was a very good friend of mine. So, I didn't think I was going to get into too much trouble.
It's like we were doing when we were doing it. Well, when Dana was directing As You Like It, she wanted to cut out the line, "I am not a slut," and we were like, "No, don't cut it." And actually, my daughter was playing that role, and we had a whole conversation about why she says "I'm not a slut," and it was great, and they loved it. It engaged them on a whole new level.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was another line where there was I think it was fifth grade. One of my students, Isaac, and he was playing Sir Toby Belch, and he was in the middle of that fight scene, and with Sir Andrew and egging them on and all that stuff, and he had I forgot the line, but it was some line about his sword falling and drooping, and he just wasn't he didn't understand, and I just yanked him aside and I go, "It means he can't get it up," and he goes, "Oh," and he totally understood it after that. Yeah.
So now in the new podcast, in the Fck Shakespeare podcast, you're giving voice to all this kind of like PG-13 rated stuff that you kind of sort of had to pussyfoot around, to part of my language, in the classroom, but you can get into it on the podcast, and you can just let free and speak your mind and release some of the things that maybe were pent up in some of those previous discussions.
But also,
yeah.
Diana and I have the sense of humor of 8-year-old boys. So, for us, to talk about all the bodily stuff, is it titillates us as well, you know, and there's a lot of laughing, a lot of guffawing. I would say it's more than PG-13.
Yeah, probably.
I would say so too. I would say I listened to some of your content, and you don't hold back. It's a full on it's a full on
Yeah.
adult conversation, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but it's you have to sit back and make sure the kids are already tucked into their beds when you
Right.
listen to that podcast. At least in my household. At least in my household. All right. So if people want to catch the podcast, where can they go to find you two lovely ladies?
They can go to all the regular podcast platforms. Spotify. It's supposed to be on iTunes. Hopefully, it's coming to iTunes very soon. And Anchor and a whole bunch of other ones at Fck Shakespeare. And we are on Instagram at Fck Shakespeare as well. And we have a website, fckshakespeare.com. So you can find
All
us.
right. I think you have I think it's five episodes thus far, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we just actually recorded number 11 today. And so we've got a bunch in the can that are coming out. But they come out once a week on Thursdays. And on lucky number 13, we're going to have an interview with a teacher, which will be really fun to see, you know, a teacher's reaction to what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, that sounds very exciting. Listen, anyone who's watching, either watching this still with us live here tonight or watching on the replay, I encourage you to check out Diana and Erin at Fck Shakespeare, F Shakespeare. I'll say that for short. It's a very fun podcast from two people who have been around Shakespeare a long time, know a lot of the ins and outs, pardon the pun, about the body of Shakespeare,
Yay.
and have a lot of fun in expressing and sharing their thoughts. So check it out at Fck Shakespeare. Diana, Erin, I thank you both for joining me here tonight, and all the best with your podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, all the best. Okay, so we'll say farewell to Diana and to Erin. Okay, and we encourage you to go and check out their content.